Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a Vivi Omi around the Ecomiverse video with Jordan Riz, with Dr. Stuff, Crypto Rain, and Danny the Bull. Quick before we get started, everyone go and introduce yourselves and where we can find you on social media. Jordan, you want to start?
Yep. I'm Jordan Riz. I've got a channel on Omi, mostly Omi stuff and Veve, very heavily invested. I've been into it for a couple of years now. You've probably seen some of my videos. And that's pretty much it for me.
Hey everyone, I'm Doctor of Stuff. You can find me on Twitter at Doctor of Stuff. I also have a YouTube channel which has not gotten the TLC and attention it should and it deserves, but I do have some episodes on Vivi and also on kind of crypto security and wallet security and how to avoid some scams there. But I've been a crypto and stock investor for quite some time and then also have a pretty strong background in financial analysis.
What's up, everyone? Crypto Rain here. I have a YouTube channel. You can find it by searching Crypto Rain. I look at crypto as an investment. My background was real estate investment. I came to crypto because of the high volatility, meaning it can go way, way up, which also means it can go way, way down. First invested in Ecomi back in 2018. So I love this project. I love what they're doing. Very happy with some things and, looking forward to the future with it. That doesn't mean I won't call out problems I see.
And I'm Danny the Bull. YouTube channel, Danny the Bull. On Twitter, Danny the Bull.
Very nice. So there's a bunch of things that have been going on with Vivi this last week. The drops have been doing fairly well, I think. Speaking of drops, how do you guys get the drop today? Are you collecting all the sets, or is this something that you're skipping because airdrops tend to decrease, the pumps tend to dump after the airdrops are snapped?
I'm grabbing drops every now and then as I like them. I'm not getting every drop. I'm trying to conserve my money at the moment.
So Randy, I've collected all of the Infinity Stones to date, but I don't have, and I tweeted about this, and credit to someone else who tweeted about it before, and I was just doing some research, but if you look at the Jurassic World airdrops that they did, there was different tiers, right? And if you held, one of them was if you held all of the sets, then you would get that most exclusive airdrop. I think that's what's going to happen here, which ironically, there's only one, the Eye of Agamotto, right, that has more than one variation of it. So I'm thinking that you're going to have all three of those if you want the rarest one. I don't have the SR. I looked at it when it was at like $180 several months ago, and I was like, I should just grab that. I didn't, and now it's at like $540. And to your point, this is where we've seen that. I had the Black Panther set with Namor, and Namor pumped to $450 or gems, and I was talking to my brother and I'm like, I should sell this, and I didn't. And then Namor and Azuri both, after they released, were way about 300 gems total, where I could have made that. But then the Mickey signature dropped. That kind of dropped for a little bit, but that actually went higher. So, but I don't think, depending on how awesome the Infinity Gauntlet is and the rarity, it might pump. But yeah, so I do have the full set, but just not the most exclusive set.
Gotcha. Rain?
Yeah, I've got the set. I forgot about today's drop, and I was busy at work. Ended up copping one on secondary, about retail. I do have them all, but I don't have the secret rare eye. I have the rare eye, so I'm hoping that that's good enough.
I think I have almost all of them. I bought multiples of all of them. I didn't get the one from today yet. I wasn't able to make the drop. Haven't bought one on the after sale market yet. So, yeah.
Okay, those are still relatively cheap. Moving back a couple of days before this, we had the Oswald drop. And the Oswald, David, you had called a grail. My definition of grails are usually things that are usually out of reach. Oswald to me is really not out of reach. I think like $200 for like the secret rares, each. Do you guys get that? Why or why not?
I didn't get it. I've been kind of not going for very much lately because I've been so focused on crypto. If I did consider it a grail, I would have went for it, but that's pretty much what I'm going for, is those grail level things or something that I, really want, as a collector. But I don't necessarily see it as a grail. Although I do think that, it's pretty cool.
It's definitely really cool. I haven't picked one up yet because just the flow that happens oftentimes is something releases, gets a bunch of hype, it pumps, and then something else comes out that's important. And usually whatever it was that pumped really high settles, because then the focus turns to other things and people kind of FOMO back out. Now, if all of a sudden massive money starts coming in, that means I miss my chance, because then things will just keep running. But if we have some more time, which I suspect, it's usually a great strategic play.
I picked them up. I picked the setup. One, I knew that I assumed or surmised that the animated one, the most common one, was going to go below retail. So I waited until after the drop and bought two in the secondary for like $30. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the Vivi casino. So I went to the store and minted one off and got this one of the secret rares. And so I'm like, all right, I gotta finish the set off. And so then bought the other secret rare on the secondary. And again, a lot of these are just long-term holds. And so when it pumped to 250, I think it's down to like 170 or 180 now. But long-term, like, there's a big narrative around Oswald. He was the first Walt Disney creation. I know that he says it all started with the mouse. And I get that, but Disney rebought the IP rights to Oswald for a reason. And on top of that, I tweeted out a few days ago, and maybe people didn't see it, but there was that collaboration with Oswald and Givenchy. Mm-hmm. And so he's on that clothing. And I think that Disney is going to be starting to making Oswald more visible, and more part of their story going forward. So that's one of the reasons that I picked up the set.
You don't?
I have not really got too many of the drops. Really trying to conserve money. I'm taking my car to the racetrack next week, so it's cost a lot of money. So, but I definitely will be going for any of the ones that I really like. I can't wait for that Fast and Furious one, as mentioned.
Those would be dope. I wonder if they'll announce any of those Fast and Furious ones on the Veve 500. When they had, going back to Dr. Stuff's point, people are clearly willing to pay Disney heads or people that really love Givenchy. It's $3,600 for that sweatshirt of that particular Oswald one. So what makes you think that they wouldn't pay that for the first appearance of it on blockchain? Sweatshirts deteriorate, they do whatever. So for this one, I just kind of mulled around it for this entire podcast. I'd kind of like to start a little bearish on some things and then have a nice crescendo to the bullish stuff at the end. That's all right with y'all. On the last couple of days, we had kind of some news that originally the U.S. was not really looking to go and help Ukraine in any certain way outside of funding, but now they are sending 3 different types of tanks, and they are mulling over sending jets over to Ukraine, potentially going to help over counterattack in Crimea. And as we say that this was supposed to be drawing down, it looks like things are heating up a little bit. What do you guys make of that? What do you guys think that is going to do to the macro? Does that affect crypto, and in what way? Does it affect it worse or better than stock markets?
I actually don't. I don't think it's going to affect too much because that stuff's been going on for so long now. I think most people have lost attention. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yeah, I think most people have lost attention to the war stuff that's been going on. It's been going on for so long. It's not new. I don't think it's going to affect anything too much on the macro.
I think if things were to escalate and we were to get more involved, and there was a lot of fear around that, then it could potentially, cause some fear in markets. But I'm not, I just saw the headline. I've been seeing the headlines, and I'm looking to look into it more, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I'm along the lines of what Danny was saying there. I mean, it's going to depend on who else gets involved. If a lot of major players get involved, if supply chains get interrupted, then I think it has a significant impact on, or could have a significant impact on things. But right now probably not, but we've got to wait and see a little bit more.
Yeah, so it could end up in like World War III. I think the chances of that are slim. It would take huge escalation in China to get involved and everything. I think cooler heads will prevail, and it'll continue to be localized to the area, but we'll see. I mean, there is slight escalation, and escalation sometimes leads to bigger escalation. But like everyone said, I think a lot of people are becoming somewhat immune to it. So if it goes, I guess if there's severe escalation, then they'll cause some worry. Sometimes markets do well with war because it gets people focused on productivity, but a lot of war gets people really nervous.
Yeah. So there was a Twitter space yesterday. I don't know how many of you happened to be there. It was ran by H5H3AD. I don't know what's that supposed to spell out, something head. And this is someone that I had blocked previously because they, were constantly spreading misinformation. The space was about, it said Vivi not owned by David, a Comey lawsuit for fraud. Basically it had Orbis breaking down the ownership of Orbis, and it was David was like the head of it, but it was broken down by he didn't own all of it. It was a pretty ridiculous space. I think that was just a clickbait to get everything in there. But did you guys hear any of that space last night?
No,
I didn't.
Oh, okay, it was just basically saying that he didn't own all of it. I looked at the whole thing and I was like, okay, that was it.
So what if
I saw the headline and I was like,
Are you talking about the shares of the company for Comey?
Uh,
I think it was for Orbis. I don't think it was for Comey.
Well, but Orbis owns Comey, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, but my question is, I mean, did they talk about percentage of shares or something? Because as long as he is the majority shareholder,
Yeah, it was like over 55%, which is fine. But it was, I guess, just because he didn't own all of it, people were just as. Again, that's why I blocked this person previously. There was one other post, and I don't think it was necessarily FUD. A lot of people use this fact to FUD. It was Omi the Clown reporting, considering a prominent team member decided to buy all of the other Infinity Stones within a space of 5 minutes last week. I'm going to say you need them all. He had tracked the wallets, and he didn't say which community member, but one community member happened to go and buy all of the Infinity Stones. And for me, I just interpreted that as somebody seeing David's tweet saying this is the 5th Infinity Stone. Interesting, how many will have all 5? And I just interpreted that as somebody seeing that, like, oh, maybe I should buy these. I don't know if there's any validity to these statements, or how do you guys interpret it?
I think people read into a lot of things.
So go ahead, Danny.
Sorry, I think people read into a lot of things. There's tons of speculation, and there seems to be more speculation when things are boring. We're deep in this bear market, and I feel like everyone's looking for something. I tend not to really get too heavily involved in those sorts of things. I don't really care too much, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this just from a public perception. People could make the assumption that some of these team members may be getting insider information, and then making moves before the general public. I'm not saying that that's the case, right? But without context, people just look at that, and that could be an assumption. So hopefully it's something that the Vivi team is looking at is just, can our employees purchase these things off the drop or before certain information is released? And that's just a balance that they're going to have to figure out, right? Because, I mean, technically it would be like employees of a company being able to purchase shares and when they have that insider information, and is that insider trading type thing, which the space isn't really regulated like that. So who knows? But again, it's probably better safe than sorry about that stuff. But I don't interpret that. I don't think that Vivi has never shown this malintent to try to hose the general public or anything like that. So I agree with you. The timing of it was he purchased it after David had made that statement. And so he's just like, I'm going to go for it. And until we know more, I don't think it's appropriate to jump to conclusions.
Agreed. It's easy to jump to conclusions and stuff, but we've kind of seen that coming, right? Each of the Infinity Stones being released, which is why I was picking up some along the way, right? Because I was like, well, it was around, they launched the Gauntlet and then they started launching the Infinity Stones. I'm like, yeah, or at that event, they had the Gauntlet as the big reveal, right? What was that?
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
That was awesome. They look cool.
So I was like, okay, yeah, they're probably going to release the Infinity Stones. There's probably going to be some kind of utility or something tied to this at some point. So it makes sense to pick them up. So I guess it didn't come as any surprise. And it just was easier to pick them up when nobody was thinking about them.
Yeah. I've actually got most of the Infinity Stones as well. Now you guys mention it. I think I'm just missing that last drop.
Oh, nice. Get it. Get it. Good stuff. So we have a question about Omi. We'll do a question every now and then, every 15 minutes from the chat. Does anyone want to briefly touch on why Omi is not at risk or at very low risk of being considered a security in the future? I feel like this is more Dr. Stuff's area.
Yeah,
expertise.
so I did some research, right? And the IRS, they put out some kind of statements around crypto. And at least the IRS right now does not consider crypto a security. But that's different, obviously, than the SEC, who is going after some of these exchanges and tokens themselves as being a security. And there's no guarantee, but I think that Ecomi tried to do as much as they could. They didn't release the token. You couldn't invest in it when they released it in the US, right? They tried to stay away from that. But at the time of the release, everything that I've researched, it technically looked like it could fit the narrative of a security. So here's what typically happens, though. The SEC comes after you and they say, hey, you're a security. You can do one of two things. You can fight it or you can pay the fine. I think the Vivi is making enough money now that if they just wanted to get rid of it, they would pay the fine and become compliant. I think that they've done everything since they started seeing the SEC kind of go after this stuff. Because remember when they did this, like the SEC still hasn't put out a lot of like boundaries or definitions as to what they are going to go after. It's not until they've gone after someone. And then even then people are like, is this why they went after this token? And so I think that Ecomi's doing everything they can to not be considered a security. But if the SEC did go after them, they would just probably pay a fine and then find out what they need to do to be compliant. So it's not going to destroy, in my opinion, not going to destroy the token. Vivi is making the money that they could, if they had to, pay that fine and just go from there.
A lot comes down to XRP, right? Because XRP, if they win or settle, that's going to sort of set a bit more boundaries for the whole securities versus SEC stuff.
I think it's going to take a while. I was thinking about this, and we have the divided House. I think it's hard for the government to agree on things and get things done, especially when they're divided as they are now, numbers wise. Also, Gensler is kind of going to be a lame duck because we got an election coming up next year, and so I think that they're going to regulate exchanges first. Probably a stable, the stable coins, but I don't think we're going to get clear regulation on crypto for a little while. That's just my take.
Did everyone answer? Good. Or go Ryan. So
yeah, there's two things that they usually go after in the crypto space: an illegal ICO, right, that sold to Americans, which they didn't sell to any Americans, right? They went through a lot of measures to make sure it was international, non-US people. And then the second thing is, oh, well, you didn't have an illegal ICO, but you're still a security. So there's a lot of other projects, I guess, that would be at higher risk than them, though. Who knows? I think it would be helpful for Congress to come in and give some guidelines on what they think about it. right now we have a divided House and Senate, with the House being controlled by a different party than the president and the Senate. So whether there's enough support on both sides to push something through, there might be, because there's some pro-crypto Democrats and some pro-crypto Republicans. So we'll see how that shakes out. That would be great, because Gary Gensler, I remember when he was appointed, and I was thinking, I was hopeful that this guy would get it. He has been so anti-crypto. I think him and Janet Yellen have this secret pact to destroy crypto if they could, right? So I don't know.
Janet Yellen and Elizabeth Warren, she's the worst.
Yeah, those three, right? They all, I think they sit in a dark room with cigars.
The unholy trinity.
With a cigar, in some cabin, planning out the destruction of crypto if they could. The problem is they just don't have enough power between the three of them.
Yeah. Okay, so now just on a little more, I'll just say it. I've mentioned before, and I've argued that the metaverse will do really well because you have people like Mark Zuckerberg spending about $25 billion per year. But then you take a look at Mark Zuckerberg. He hasn't really talked about any type of AI for a long time, since he had those two bots come together. They created their own language and he shut it down. But back in the day when Google acquired DeepMind, and then you have I think Microsoft getting into ChatGPT, Facebook has been relatively quiet about this. Do you think that funds that would have gone to build the metaverse are now going to go in AI? And if so, how much?
Yeah, that would make sense if they start going that direction, because they need to do something to turn everything around, right? So Meta is going to do everything they can, and they've taken some funding away from some of their VR and AR directions that they were going. So I think there's a good chance that they will pivot to AI. I'm sure they already have a bunch of AI stuff they've been working on as well in the background. Like Google has a ton of AI that's just not released yet.
Yeah, I would think that they've been, thinking about these things because they know what's going on. They know where the industry is going, and they know what, they're in the know. So I would think that they're, even if they're not talking about it, they're preparing for it.
Same. All right,
I'm curious to see where they go with AI. I'm not quite sure. I was blown away when ChatGPT came out, and everyone can use it, and the stuff that it can figure out is just still blowing me away, which caused a run on AI crypto projects, right? Because I guess myself and everyone else became aware of, holy cow, the what this can do. It can write stories better than half the humans in US and Canada. So it's pretty incredible.
It passed the American Medical Association certificate or something like that. Yeah. And Elon Musk replied, "Yeah, this will be fine."
Oh, no. So, do you think that obviously the founders have said this is a collector's app, but there are many people that really do use it to flip a lot. They use it as an investment app. I kind of do both. There's some things I like to collect. There's some things I know are going to be great in the future. When you have more people and you have a much more lively market, instead of one major thing selling once every other day, it'll sell multiple times a day. There are quants in the stock market, and I'm pretty sure there's AI in the stock market now too. What do you think about AI coming in? Somebody verifies their user, they do the whole face scan, but they use AI to trade. Do you think that will disincentivize would-be investors into Vivi because there's AI in here, not going to compete? Or do you think it's a mute point?
I think that people do it in the stock market anyways. There's AI trading in the stock market, and people still trade stocks. So I think that will still happen. And I do believe that if there is enough volume in Vivi and there's enough money to be made, then yeah, absolutely that will come in. That will come. AI and trading and all of that will come in. Flippers will continue to come in anywhere where there is money to be made. And so if Vivi is doing that with all of the FAs that they have, and if the Viviverse comes out and things just continue to progress with Vivi, then yeah, I do believe that AI trading will probably pop in, and I still think that I will personally, but I'm not necessarily like the flipper for the most part. Maybe, right, if it makes sense, where it's like, wow, I bought this at 70 and it's pumped to 500. Like I might cash that in just because it's like, wow, that's, and maybe I won't get that back, but it's typically with something that I'm not truly emotionally attached to, and I think that will continue to happen.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think the same sort of thing. It'll be good when more collectors and stuff come in. Collectors won't care about AI bots at all. Like that's really going to be for the traders might get caught out, because if you guys have ever tried trading against AI bots, it's impossible. They bounce their orders around and it's so quick and it's just annoying. They always get back in line by one-upping you by like a tiny number. Yeah, so I don't think it'll affect everything much. But yeah, if AI take over, we're in trouble. So,
Danny, what about you?
Yeah, I think I agree with what Jordan just said. I don't know, how realistic do you think something like that would be?
to me, take the AI taking over.
Yeah, infiltrating things like a Vivi secondary market.
I'm sure it'll happen. I just don't know, like, if it'll affect people coming in or not. But I'm sure, I'm positive.
You think it'll be that pervasive?
I'm more like talking about taking over the world, but Vivi's the least of our worries if AI gets that smart.
Oh, what about you, Rain?
Yeah, you'll see some kind of bots come in, right? And you see that in the markets. And all that does is mess around, like when you're trying to put in something just below or just above, like a buy order, just above the lowest thing, right? You'll see it and an order come in above you. But if you just keep that buy order in place and the price swings down a little bit, it'll still get hit. So it'll be a little bit annoying. I don't think it'll be a big deal, though.
No. So something a little more fun. I was thinking about, in the stock market, you have ETFs that take a lot of dumb money out of the markets, but there's really nothing like that for crypto, and there's nothing like that for NFTs. Obviously, you have the stuff that everyone considers grails and blue chip, but then there's randomly stuff will pump because, like they have meme coins, we'll have meme Tobies or meme Cryptkins. What are some things that you guys think will moon for absolutely no reason because of the way it looks or the name?
You mean collectibles that will moon?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one of the ponies of the Myrmicornos, because we get the bronies coming in. Like My Little Pony, be like, this one.
I reckon some of the Labbits. Some of the Labbits look awesome, and I bought a lot of those Labbits back in the day.
So I was thinking about that amazing Game of Thrones drop. No. And the I even did a tweet about it. What's his name?
The fingers,
Yeah, I blinked out on the guy's name. I tweeted out. There's a GIF about him. Salad Fingers. I think it's Salad Fingers, right? The Salad Fingers meme. That guy who's trying to grab the axe. He's not even holding it. And like some of those sold for like 1 ETH, right? And so if I use that same logic, there's a chance that, that the Electra, the neck, Electra neck, that could moon, right? Just because people are like, this is so awful. It's amazing. And so they just buy up a ton of those and something like that pumps. I could see something like that when the crypto bros come in and they're like, this is just amazing. And we're going to pump this,
Yeah, and She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I
know somebody who created a run on Alligator Loki.
Who was that?
Great, man. Loki to the moon.
He'll probably keep buying him, so he'll like corner that market, and it'll be like diamonds in the De Beers Corporation. So
when's the next season of Loki coming out, Randy? Do you know about that?
The next what?
Next season of Loki.
It'll be summer.
So I want
This summer. I don't know what date yet, but it'll be this summer. The other stuff, I ran into this guy at VCon, some skinny Asian dude. I don't know where exactly he was from, but he showed me his collection, and he had 123 secret rare Electras, and I was like, why? He's like, they're like, picture two scenarios. they're either going to fix her or they're not. I was like, okay, yeah, they're probably gonna fix her. And then he's like, and I was like, that's so yeah. He was making 4D chess moves, living like 30-23. Vivi just posted the community update will be Wednesday on February 1st.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Aren't you
So
thinking,
that'll bring up another good point. What are y'all thinking on the update? Do you think they'll address the wire situation? Do you think they don't need to? What are some pros and cons you might think about?
I think they'll address MCP, Master Collectors Program, and say that they're going into beta or something like this. I don't think that they would really do the community update if they weren't ready to roll out something, and I think that's what they're rolling out next.
Yeah, I agree with Danny. Yep.
I think they're already lining up backup plans, which is, I think they actually were already lining up backup plans.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, it just problems came a little bit sooner than expected, right? But they were being responsible that way and lining up some contingency plans. So they hadn't finalized anything that I'm aware of. And so probably my guess they'll continue to, just like a responsible company, you know, have some backups in case something fails some aspect. So
I think the community update will touch on wire just as a verbal confirmation of, hey, here's what's going on. I like Danny's idea about announcing some sort of MCP. That would be exciting. I mean, after our crypto randomize AMA with Reese, and he was talking about the devs kind of in starting in February, that 2-week cadence of app updates. Maybe that's there. So I'm optimistic that there's a bigger announcement coming, because it's been a while. They normally used to do it every kind of like 2 weeks or something, right? And it's been like,
no, it's been about, I think, monthly. They do it monthly.
December, they did one in December. I don't
They
know
did
what
one in
they.
December. There's, I think they pretty much do them monthly now.
Before that, they did like every 2 weeks they did an AMA. That was
On
awesome.
Twitter, yeah, they would have
Right.
it.
okay, that's what it was. So
Yeah.
but that would be amazing. So I'm going to back Danny the Bull on that, and hopefully that's what happens.
Yeah, they need to address some of the FUD that's been going on. They need to give us something good to get a little bit more bullish and get rid of all the FUD.
I feel like I don't know whether it's like an ad. I don't know what the right word for it is, but I'm constantly on the development roadmap, and I'm constantly trying to look like multiple times a day. An update, and I know it's like a manual process, so I know it's like, you know, they have to go in and do it. Oh yeah, touching on when you guys had Reese on last week, he did say that the devs have like a 2-week dev cycle, but that when they put those out there, Google and Apple Play Store don't necessarily have to do it at that time. Did he say how long, or do you guys know how long they have to do those updates? And like if they have a backlog of updates that we just haven't gotten yet?
he didn't touch on that part of it. That's a great question, Randy. Yeah, so their development rollout for some updates is like every 2 weeks they want to be pumping out small updates, right?
Yeah.
And these cumulatively fix a lot of things. So I hope, what I loved about that interview was the focus that they have on bringing some great devs in. And it seems like that's something they realized 6 months ago and started taking action on. Bringing in a CTO and then bringing in a project manager with some good experience and then hiring some more devs. That was music to my ears. That's what I needed to hear.
So you were did you buy more after that? Like, okay, hit the buy now button.
Yeah, like I'm super bullish on it.
Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Are we allowed to start getting more bullish yet, or we're still on the?
yeah. I think now we can get a little. I bought another million OMI, and then it went down to 0.008.
Wait. So you at 151?
I have 151. Yeah.
I'm at 131. I'm keeping pace with you.
Nice.
Arms race.
What I was gonna say is, do you guys know that Bitcoin has just had its best January since 2013? So that's 10 years since Bitcoin's done as well as it has this year so far. So it's not even, it's not even really in the Bitcoin halving 4-year cycle yet. So I think we're going to have a really good year next year. And I think even this year, we're probably going to go up a fair bit by the end of the year. What do you guys think?
I have now speaking of getting a little more bullish, There was a video made today by Plan B. He's got about 1.8 million followers over on Twitter. And basically, he made a 15-minute video saying, this chart says we're in a bull market. This chart says we're in the start of a bull market. And he was going chart by chart by chart. And historically, like every time it goes from here to here and up to here, that usually starts the next bull market. And it kind of went in line with my friend Dan, who said a few weeks ago, unless the trends reverse, we might be able to start the next bull market. Should I be cautiously optimistic? Is this a sucker's rally? What is your guys' interpretation of that?
I think that, if the bottom is in, then we are technically in the next bull market, right? But we don't know, and hindsight will tell us. We've had this pump. I think that this year is going to be choppy, and we'll get pumps, and then it'll dump, and it'll create uncertainty. But I think, I do think the bottom is in. I do think that we're going to pull back and retest some lower levels, but I think we're going to hold those levels, and then it's going to be a choppy year, in my opinion. But we'll start to move up, I think, and by the end of the year.
So a little bit of historical perspective, right? So there's some people fixated on we're going to hit 12K for Bitcoin or like 14K. And so we got really close to that. But when they fixate on those numbers, I remember in the last crypto winter when Bitcoin went down to 3,200, and there were a whole bunch of people that's like, no, before it can really go the other way, it's got to hit 2,000. And it never hit 2,000. And so what's interesting is there have been massive pressures to push it down further, and it hasn't gone down further. I mean, the FTX failure was huge, but that was on top of all these other failures that came before it. And so that was as low as it could push it. So what you're seeing is when we get at those prices, there was a ton of buy pressure, far more than the sell pressure that could be exerted even with the massive bad news. And so I think that goes to the case that maybe the bottom is in, or it's going to take an event even bigger than FTX crashing and finding out that billions might be lost and that they're fraudsters and all the stuff that's been going on. So I guess something bigger could happen. But I guess looking at what the charts are telling me, and I'm like, well, interesting. I just have to look at what they're telling me, which is it wants to run. And how long will this last? I don't know. But you're seeing money come into Bitcoin, and not even tons of good news, and just money coming in anyway. So who's driving that? I don't know.
Yeah, I know some people are worried about Binance crashing. That's about the only thing that could kill the market. But that's not going to happen. They've got plenty of Bitcoin in their reserves.
Yeah.
I would be shocked by that.
Yeah.
Shocked. I wasn't completely shocked by FTX.
Really?
Binance, I would be shocked by. The FTX story never made sense to me. I'm like, who's this guy? Okay, I don't actually know very many people that use the FTX exchange yet. He has all this money, and he's like, they're investing in all this stuff, Alameda Research. And I'm like, where were their wins that led up to this? Okay, they did some arbitrage in 2019, and the guy's a genius. But how the kind of money they're throwing around for all these stadiums and stuff, it doesn't add up to me. And maybe there's something I don't know. Clearly, there was some stuff I didn't know. Yeah, some of it was fraud and like shell games and other things.
So one black swan event that could happen, right, that could really impact the market is you have Digital Currency Group that some of their subsidiaries are CoinDesk, which they're trying to sell right now, Genesis, which is filing bankruptcy. Then you have Grayscale, right? And Grayscale is their cash cow. But if something were to happen to Grayscale with all the Bitcoin that they have there, and they were forced to liquidate, right, you could get so much Bitcoin selling on the market that could cause a collapse on the price of Bitcoin, right? But barring that, and again, Grayscale is their cash cow. It's still making money. So I think that if they were to file bankruptcy, like they would do everything to protect that one entity. So the likelihood is pretty small. But again, if there's fraud or there's something that we're not aware of behind closed doors. But other than that, yeah, it's hard to say that the bottom, like I say that there's a chance that we haven't hit the bottom, but it's getting lower and lower. And that and so that you've got to, and I like what Rain does a lot too, where you play these probabilities. Okay, Could it drop lower? Okay, yeah, maybe, but am I okay with the price where it's at now on whatever token that you're looking at? And I think that that's the decision you have to make, because if you're wrong and the bottom is in and things start to pump, then you're chasing those green candles because you never bought in, and then you're like, well, I'm not going to buy in now because it's going to drop back down, and then it doesn't, and and so again, it's just taking the emotion out of it and looking at it logically and saying, am I okay at these prices? And you know what? That's what I did when I bought OMI at 008. I bought OMI then, and I said, you know what? I think it's still a good price. Now I'm loving these prices, and my DCA has brought that down significantly since then. But you just never know what for sure is going to happen. I don't have a crypto ball. You've got Plan B that is saying Bitcoin. Blockchain Comics talked about it too, but that Bitcoin could go from 100K to $1 million, right? That's the range that he gave, which is a pretty substantial range.
Hell of a range.
Yeah, that's a lot of leeway there, right? But even 100K, right? That's about a 4x from where we're at now. But you don't know, and so I'm just looking at that and saying maybe the bottom's in, maybe it's not. But at these prices, at least for OMI specifically, I'm liking what I'm seeing, so I'm buying.
Yeah. Who here wishes they had an extra 200K to just put into the OMI token at where the price is at, right?
I will do whatever. 200K. What do I need to do? Give me.
Yes, please. I know, right? Randy's going to be on the next issue of Playgirl, 200K.
Oh, I won't stop there. I'll do all the magazines. So how do you guys think? And this kind of a bearish sentiment inside the next bull run. When you have, let's say it goes to the top end and it goes to $1 million a coin, and Bitcoin has a $20 trillion market cap, and Ethereum's right behind with a $15 trillion market cap. And again, 1% of 1% chance that this actually happens. But what do you think people are going to do? Like, let's say OMI is 1/100th of that, and it has a $15 billion market cap, and it goes 5 cents. What do you think people are going to do that never had money before, now suddenly have a couple $1 million?
Probably waste it.
What do you think the consequences of that are?
I don't know, man. I know what I would do is, I'm definitely going to make a plan to take profits along the way. I'm going to allocate some of that stuff to pay stuff off, renovate, and put away for the future. But, I think most people who come into new money waste it.
Yeah.
First the lottery.
There's that study done, was it like 3/4 of people that win millions of dollars end up more broke than they were before they won the money? It's a very large amount after like
God.
5 years. So
that's a lot. What do you think that does to the rest of the markets when everybody starts seeing that, okay, look at all these gains in crypto, and here's my S&P 500 that's making 11%, which is fine, but do you see the stock market actually going down because of that?
Because of people putting money into crypto?
There is a strong risk of that, right? So what's so interesting about the last bull run we had is it was a fairly weak bull run. Like Bitcoin only went from a 20,000 high in its previous run to like 69,000. So essentially it did a 3.5x, which is way short. Now, some people make the argument, a bunch of that money went into Bored Apes, and maybe some of it, maybe, but it was weak. And so really the bull run happened a little too early, so it got cut short. So maybe what is setting up here is finally what, a year ago I was thinking, well, gosh, at some point, the stock market is still overvalued. There's all these zombie companies running around that are still lying because they've gotten such low interest money. They've just borrowed a bunch, but really they're not putting out a product or service that's getting sold on the market. Essentially, they're just somehow alive and like The Walking Dead, but they're going to die and fall over. And so maybe they do, and people FOMO out of that. And what are they going to FOMO into? Well, gold, crypto, and other things. And if crypto starts running, it's almost the way we as human beings is like, oh no, I just lost 75% of the value in whatever I'm in. I'm going to throw the 25% I have left in this other thing that just pumped 20x. And that's what so often happens. And so it makes, for really the severe pumps and dumps that we get in crypto, the massive volatility, which is what I like, because I like to buy when the volatility pushes everything way down and the pendulum swings too far, that people are dumping their OMI for under 0.1 cents, right? And buy it, and then when people are FOMOing in and OMI's at 6 cents or 10 cents or $1, be like, well, okay, I'm willing to part with my OMI at these prices. Yeah, but it's going to keep going up forever. Well, it won't forever. I can guarantee that. How long? I don't know, but yeah.
Dr. Sub, I know you have to bounce. What's your opinion on that before you leave?
Sorry, I was responding to those. What was the question, real quick?
Oh, it was when Bitcoin does rally, whether it goes to 100K, 500K, or $1 million, do you think people in traditional investing in stock markets will take their money out of the stock market, and you actually see not a stock market crash, but you see a lot of money flowing from that to crypto and the consequences of that?
You know what? That's a great question. I haven't done an analysis to kind of see when Bitcoin pumped, what happened to stocks. When Bitcoin got to like 67,000, what did the stock market do? So I don't have like an official opinion on that. I mean, if it's pumping to 100,000, it's going to depend on regulation, right? Are more and more corporations going to be allowed to do that? I mean, we're seeing some pushback from regulators on banks allowing their customers to purchase crypto, right? Where you could get kind of the Dogecoin effect, where people are just FOMOing into Bitcoin and they're going to their institutions, and the retail investors are helping pump that up, and they're taking some of their stocks, selling those and doing that. But yeah, I'll have to do an analysis on that. That's a great point. So, I mean, could it happen? Absolutely. And one other thing before I do have to leave, but and I think that everyone kind of answered it, but when I was in college, I worked at a gas station, right, to help pay some bills. And I remember there was these apartments behind us, and there were the regulars who would always come in. Well, one day this family of regulars comes in this souped up truck, like brand spanking new. And I was like, whoa, what's going on there? And they're like, we just hit the jackpot in Vegas, like $3 million, And I was like, congratulations, that's amazing, And they're like, this is life-changing, this is incredible. Well, I ran into him. I didn't work at the gas station anymore, but I went there because I knew the owners, and that same family was back there, not in a truck, not, and I was like, hey, how are things going? And they're like, we blew it all. It took them about like 5 years, but they blew through $3 million in 5 years. They're like, we gave it to people, we helped all these things. And what happens with people in general that come into money that have never had money before is they've never had the training on how to handle finances. Mm-hmm. And so they don't know what to do. They don't understand saving. They've never been able to save. They've lived paycheck to paycheck their whole life. And so unless they're smart enough to say, I need like a financial advisor and hire this person, and they're going to teach me like the ways how the rich make money, then they just end up spending it. So we could definitely see that. And look, I'm guilty of in January selling a ton of my stuff and then just rolling back into other things that I'd wanted for so long, instead of being like, it's the height of the market, maybe I should hold on to some of mine. And I was even saying on Ray's channel when we have these discussions, I'm like, the price is going to go down. Like, we're just waiting for cash out. And once they announce like cash out really comes, prices are going to drop. And yet, like, I was still buying. Like, I logically understood that point, but emotionally, it's hard to follow that, So with that, I got but as I always say before I sign off, please follow everyone here on Twitter, subscribe to their YouTube channels. And I know that some people kind of give us crap about us being Vivi Moon Boys or that we're paid. I'm specifically not paid. I'm pretty sure, like, I know that other people here, I won't speak for them, but to my knowledge, are not paid in any way, shape, or form with Vivi. Like, we just have these discussions all the time, and we do this research, And so ask your questions in the chat, right? We do a lot of research, and that's what this is here, is to benefit you guys. But yeah, I'd love it if you guys could please subscribe to Randy's channel if you haven't, and everyone else is on here's channel, and follow us on Twitter. And with that, I'm out, boys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for stopping by. Catch you later. Bye. So Have you guys ever thought about opening up, like, maybe not a master class, but just like class, like, hey, did you make a bunch of money in crypto? Here's how you do to keep it. Because I feel like, you guys are a little bit older, look a little more well put together than I do, and people might choose to follow you instead of me.
So part of my channel approach is teaching them how to think about crypto as an investment and kind of setting up the foundation to think about it right, all along the way, right? And taking profits while people are ahead. I haven't delved into, okay, now you've made $7 million. What do you do with it? Because it's like, if they've been following me for a while, they kind of know, take profit, set it to the side. I talk about other types of investment a little bit. My background was real estate investment with some stock background, but mostly real estate investment background. And so a little bit set up for that. There are other YouTube channels specific to like money management. I believe in paying off your house and being debt free on that. The vehicle that you drive, like for now, like pay them off early. No, I have a lot of it in the crypto market, even though I could have sold off stuff and paid off a house cash. I wanted to keep a lot of it invested. I always keep enough liquidity on hand to like pay all the bills and everything, but keep it rolling until it gets into the deca millionaires, probably like 40 million. And then I'm going to buy a $2 million house outright and 9 vehicles, one for every day of the week, like Monday license plate, Tuesday license plate. And I know that's somewhat ridiculous, but I have a lot of delayed gratification, meaning I'm willing to like live like a pauper so I can let it all ride. But at some point I want to spend like crazy, just somewhat responsibly, like paying off a house cash and everything, and somewhat irresponsibly, like 9 different cars. People will be like, it's Monday and he's got the license plate Monday. I wonder if he has a Tuesday one. Later on, they'll see me driving around like a Tuesday or Wednesday one. They'll be like, that guy's crazy. That'll be fun.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really. That's not really something that I see for myself. I don't consider myself, a financial advisor of any sort. I do share like what works for me, and I would share what worked for me. Maybe down the line. But for now, I just like making the kind of content that I am making at the moment.
You, Jordan?
Just looking at all the fun comments we're getting at the moment. It's very interesting. There's a lot of these people just going crazy. I'm just wondering if any of them actually know how to make money at all. Like
I don't know.
They're talking down from us from the internet. Oh, they're so powerful. Oh, I'm so strong. I can write words on the screen.
I feel like people, like where I used to work at high risk lending, I would work shoulder to shoulder with people in the Ivy Leagues that graduated from like really good schools, and I made as much, if not more, than a lot of them. That was
So talking about making course, like I've actually thought a lot about making an Amazon course on how to do well on Amazon. Because I do more than 6 figures on there a year, and I've also thought of making an SEO course on search engine optimization, because I also do more than 6 figures on that a year. But I thought about crypto, and crypto is such a dangerous place to try and teach a course, because I'm sure some people won't follow your advice exactly, and then they might end up losing money and trying to sue you or something. So I think it's a good point. It's a bit more risky, and can you sell a course without it being advice? Because I don't know if you're even allowed to do that.
How do they do the master classes?
I don't know who does crypto master classes.
I don't know if they do. Oh, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's acting, whether it's tennis. It's like, what if you teach that class and the person that takes it just doesn't do well, and like they continue to suck? Can they sue you if you don't?
I feel like there are plenty of people, YouTube influencers who have courses like this. Stockmo, all these guys. Some
of them are being sued right now, so you definitely can be sued from doing that sort of stuff. But some of them, like one of the guys I know, he guaranteed results. So you definitely can't write that you're guaranteeing results, because that guy's being a class action lawsuit. I think his name was I can't remember his name. Kevin David. If you guys know Kevin David.
No, is he?
Amazon courses and Facebook ads courses, and his Facebook ads courses like do ads like my ad, and then advertise my course, and I'll pay you a percentage of it. Sort of almost like multi-level marketing. But yeah, he had guaranteed results on some of his courses, and he charged a huge amount of money. People got nothing out of it, no value, and now he's being sued. So definitely danger doing courses. And I think it would be the same in the crypto world.
Yeah, that's a good point. I thought of doing a course, right? Like a paid course, but like the YouTube channel is for free. I've made my money other ways. Like I don't get paid by Vivi, though if they offered to sponsor me, hell yes, I would say yes. And I would just disclose it. Most companies, I tell them no, I get so many offers. And I'm so picky about that because the YouTube channel and other things were never to be like the major source of revenue. You know, my real estate investment and what I used to do before I retired funded my investments back in 2017, 2018, 2019 through 21. When I retired, I recently came out of retirement because I can't continue to pass up these good prices. It was just making me sick how low everything was going and not having as much money to just throw more in. People say, Rain, you're so effing greedy. I'm like, yes, I am. Like, I like buying low. Are you kidding me? It's like a kid in the candy store and everything's 10 cents for all the candy bars. Yeah. Would I buy 1,000 of them? Yeah, literally, I'd buy 1,000 of them, right?
So I had Mr. Pags on yesterday, and he was kind of bearish on some things, but you guys all have houses, and Rain, you're in that market. He said that at least in the Northeast, in New York and New Jersey, and I've definitely seen it in New York and him in Jersey, a lot of people are still continuously, because there's a shortage of houses, continuously purchasing well above asking, and he expected it to slow down at some point, and he said it's not. It's only increasing. What is that? What are those markets like near you guys? Oh, Daniel, you're in New York as well, but how is it for the rest of you?
I'm in Australia, so it's a very different market here. But our house price is very, very high in Victoria in Australia. Like I think the average median house price is like over $1 million. It's definitely the price has dropped a little bit, but not much at all.
That comment totally cracked me up. You know, in 2017, he was doing all this advertising thing with a rented Lambo and like, this is how I made my money in crypto and I can teach you too. I was like, obviously a good marketer, but like, I've never seen this guy, never heard of him, you know, and as soon as like all the money wasn't like, haven't heard from him since 2017 about crypto. So
yeah, he's actually, he's a crazy good marketer. Actually, a lot of his videos, you would watch them and he'd just keep talking about what he's going to teach you the whole video and never teach you what he was going to teach you. and then at the end, he'd be like, just go to my website and sign up for my thing and you'll learn it. But it was really, really clever. Actually, he's done a 2-hour video recently, podcast on Graham Stevens' show, Stefan, sorry. I was going to say Graham Stefan. The iced coffee hour. So you can check out the latest Ty Lopez. He's a very interesting guy. He actually lived with the Amish for like 5 years, just to see what it was like.
I feel like you don't need to be there for 5 years to see what it was like, but
yeah, I think like 5 hours.
2 or 3 years.
You know what I mean?
He mentions,
5 hours.
Cool.
Takes you 5 years to get in and out of the community on the horse and buggy, right?
Yes, exactly.
But that guy is interesting, right? I would not call him a crypto expert. I would not take his course. You know, like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that. But even when I was watching it, I was new in 2017. I was like, I want to learn as much as possible. But this guy just comes across as gimmicky to me. So I was like, nah. Graham Stefan, though, I'm a fan of. He does a lot on real estate and finances. He's very economical. I like his show a lot.
I find Graham annoying.
I love his show. Was that Danny?
I find him annoying, Graham Stefan. I think it's his voice. I don't know, man.
Yeah, his voice sometimes can be a bit annoying, but he's got a lot of good information.
Yeah, he's smart.
Yeah, like his podcast is great. He always gets great people on.
My favorite out of that group, Kevin, Andre, right? Andre, Kevin is super cool, and I like him. But Andre is money, right? He's so funny, and his magic is awesome.
Yeah. He was on the podcast like a year ago or something, give or take.
Yeah. Magic Club.
Nice. Yeah, he's a Vivi fan.
So obviously we are all here because we are buying undervalued things. Has anyone ever decided to try to play the other way around and be like, you know what, I'm going to look for, because most of what I look for is not, most of it is not undervalued. It's either appropriately valued or even overvalued. Would you guys ever do the opposite way and say, I'm going to look for stuff that's really overvalued and then short the heck out of it?
I'm not a short guy. I don't like.
Yeah.
Well, I am actually short, but I don't like shorting things. I think I like looking at the positive side, so I definitely prefer longs.
Yeah, I'm not a big shorter either, and just isn't my game. Like in Vivi, would I do that? No, there's a high enough transaction tax that it's like hard to do that really well, and make up the difference, right? Because oftentimes you're paying about 8% loss when you sell things. So I don't even do it on stocks or crypto where the losses are much less. I tried my hand at stock shorting like forever ago and decided, I just like the longer game, the longer swing trades, anywhere from 2 months to a couple of years. Crypto, that's all it takes is like from the bottom to the next top, can't be longer than like 2.5 years ahead from when things are so bad and everyone's fudding it. So that's not a long time to be patient, though. If you're in the space for 2.5 years, it does feel like a decade, but that's just what it feels like. That's not reality. It just feels like a decade. So that's why a lot of people leave. They're like, I've been here 3 years. And they look at the actual calendar and it's been like 9 months, right? So.
Yeah, I'm like Rain. I'm more of a long-term investor. I am learning, trying to learn how to read charts. And I did do some trading in the last month, just selling the top of the range, buying back, a bit cheaper, and just accumulating, adding to my bag.
What about you, Jordan? Oh, you already answered. You're not really a short guy, right?
Just a short
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I like the long game. I like looking at things positively with things going up rather than down, which I've done pretty well over time. I made $120,000 on Tesla stock, and I've made some money in Bitcoin as well. But yeah, I never really made that money because I just put it over into Omi. So.
Same. When you guys go and get get other subscribers that say like, hey, you should have like meet Kevin, or you should have people on the podcast or on your channel, do you guys go and how often do you guys listen to them? How often do you guys be like, yeah, I'll get this person on the channel? Or do you guys be like, guys, there's no way. He's got like 8 million followers.
We should bring one of those guys onto this channel. Like maybe Andre Jake might be into it because he likes Vivi, and he has Omi. He has like 16 million Omi, I think it was.
Well, he also spent like, I think 300 something thousand to get his 30 million Omi or whatever he has.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like,
He bought it right near the top.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Yeah, and Graham 7 bought some at the top, right? And covered it like when
he sold it like right away.
Yeah, he got out. He got out.
Okay. Yeah. So at least that's smart. When he saw it was going against him, he went ahead and cleared out of it. But hopefully, like they're smart guys. I don't know that Kevin and Graham follow like the technology that's happening here. Otherwise, they would be covering this all the time. I like to buy when it's a technology that's going to change the world and everything's boring. In other words, people are just kind of ignoring it and forget about it. I mean, that's the golden period, right? When people are like, oh, yeah, it's going to fail. Like that's when it's awesome. Now, you still have to do research because some crypto projects will fail in the crypto winter. That part's right. And I use diversification because some projects that you think are awesome, there's always a risk that something happens and they fail, or the team, CEO has a heart attack and the rest of the team's not strong enough to carry it or whatever, or they just run out of money and fail because the crypto winter is longer than they think it's going to be. But then you wait till all the money comes back in. People are like, this is the greatest thing. And then you wait till YouTube channels with like 5 million viewers are FOMOing in, right? So.
So what about our NFTs? They're not on OpenSea. I've said before that OpenSea needs Vivi. Vivi doesn't need OpenSea. But recently we had Amazon said that they're making a market. And obviously there's Coinbase NFT, GameStop NFT. Why haven't we partnered with these guys? Are we waiting for a big player like Amazon? And if we are, what do you guys think that deal could look like?
Why hasn't Vivi partnered with them for their marketplace?
Yes.
Because they still have the 150 different licensors that they have to get almost a separate agreement to say, hey, we can put this now on a marketplace, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's going to hold things back.
Yeah, and I mean, they already have their own marketplace, and they're giving 30% to Apple and Google. They're going to give another 30% to Amazon. I don't think it's necessary.
Is it Amazon and Apple that are working together soon to build a metaverse experience? I think there's
Disney and Apple are. That article came out.
Happening. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different collaborations with a lot of the bigger companies now. So they might all come together at some point.
Yeah.
Some global metaverse.
So if you can send crypto in to exchange it for OMI and other things, and you can send crypto out, really, do they need to be on OpenSea? No. Would it be nice? Yes, because then, like, as things go crazy in ETH, right, then some of these other collectibles will get appropriately priced in ETH, which means they'll go way, way up from here. But that can happen anyway if they can send people when they get ETH rich, because NFTs run real hard. They can just transfer the ETH in, and then they could buy some things, and then when they go up, they can sell them. And if they could easily transfer the ETH out, I think that'll be a great step while they see if they can get the other licensors on board with allowing them to export to other marketplaces.
Yeah, if they can lower that cash out fee at some point, that would help a lot, I think, with people coming in and out of Veve a bit more.
Danny, what do you think?
About OpenSea or
just about potential partnerships with Vivi and the Mutual X marketplace, GameStop, NFT marketplace, Coinbase, and now Amazon doing their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it. You know, Vivi's a closed ecosystem. I think it'll likely continue to be a closed ecosystem for the foreseeable future. I think the biggest question around that is, like, you know, interoperability. Do they need it? Do they need OpenSea? Like you said, no. You know, and that's just more of like a philosophical, I think, thing for people in the space. You know, and how they define an NFT and whatnot.
So, Jordan, you reminded me about when you were talking about partnerships, where we had Apple and Disney doing that partnership. Disney's earnings call is going to be in a couple weeks on February 8th, or it's going to be next week. And what would be, what would be the craziness that would happen both in the stock market and in crypto if Disney had said on their earnings call, we now own 5% of Vivi, or we have OMI on our balance sheet? And would they do something like that?
Yeah, I think that would get a lot of mainstream attention, at least people that are following Disney. It definitely pump. We know at the moment we've got a group that of OMI whales, and we know we just put a small amount of money and OMI just jumps up at the moment. The liquidity is pretty small, so I mean it could pump really quickly, especially if they start implementing the OUP. But yeah, from people seeing something like that in an announcement, that would definitely help. I don't know if it would affect Vivi as much as OMI.
Okay. You guys?
I mean, hypothetically, I think it would be tremendous. But I don't think it's realistic, to think that. I don't think that, there's been speculation in the past of like, would Disney be a potential suitor for Vivi? And I've always said no, I don't think so, because Vivi buys IP, and Disney buys IP, and Vivi, has all this IP from all over the place that are competitors with Disney. So that doesn't really make sense to me. Nor would it make sense for Disney, in my opinion, to invest in a micro capped, small token like OMI. If anything, it would be like Bitcoin, like Tesla did.
Yeah.
But if they did, it would fucking blow it up. Excuse my language.
So I think in the future, in the next run, there's going to be mergers and acquisitions all over the place. So as we think about Vivi right now, they're a micro cap, but not when massive money comes in again. And say the OMI token goes to 6 cents or 10 cents or, gosh, crazy, like $1. And so we had a really muted pump last time because it was just too early in 2021. And then kind of later that year, it was really weird in 2021, where March, it was way too early to go up so high. And then it came down. And then later in October, we had the Metaverse pump because Facebook made that announcement. And a lot of that was just synthetic. And it went up to 69K for Bitcoin, and some Metaverse projects pumped like crazy. And then they've all come mostly or down or way down. And so the market's been down ever since then, right? So, and some things didn't even get that pump if they weren't Metaverse related. So 2021, that stuff pumped. It's been well over a year from March. It's almost 2 years from then. So maybe it's ready because it underpumped last time to overpump. If not, we'll continue to build momentum and we'll have this big pump. And then the mergers and acquisitions are going to happen because like we saw with the internet days and everything, all these companies are like, oh my gosh, okay, we're not in this. How do we get in it? Let's just start buying companies. And you'll start seeing like crazy valuations on these crypto companies being bought by some of the big boys. And we haven't seen a lot of that yet, just the tiniest bit. We'll see a lot of that. And maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, maybe it's the year after. I don't know.
It's more been Metaverse plays recently. Microsoft buying I think they spent $69 billion on Activision Blizzard. They could build their Metaverse. Yeah, we're coming nice number like the 69. And then I think Sony spent a couple billion buying Bungie to create some of their Metaverse. But yeah, I'm so curious to see. Do you think, Vivi Vivi's they've been making an average of about $1 million in gem sales a week. I can't think of any other company that's making close to that. And when you go in, you were talking about acquisitions, what things could Vivi do? Would it make sense to buy someone like Recur or just try to get the licenses for them? I mean, most people that are on other NFT platforms are from the Vivi fam, I feel like. But what acquisitions would you like to see Vivi make?
I don't know that I'd want to see them make some acquisitions. I want them to, like somebody way up in the comments said, like Vivi hasn't done any meaningful updates in like a year and a half. And they're not completely wrong. They've done lots of license updates, right? And so they've announced more licenses, but the app hasn't had meaningful improvements, like huge meaningful improvements, other than some things. There have been some big steps, but that part has been behind and they know it and they're aware of it. And that's why they brought in a CTO and then the product manager and more dedicated devs so that they can keep that growing. And so that's where they need to go for now, is make their app way more functional, because they don't need to buy out Recur or anything. They just need to keep doing what they're doing and do it better, make the app be able to do more cool stuff. And then they'll be getting offers to be the ones bought out because they're unique. And I can't imagine them buying someone else out, how that would help Vivi. I don't think they even need to.
You guys?
Yeah, I agree with I would, with Rain, in terms of I don't think that they should or would buy out Recur, but what I would like them to do is get funding, have someone buy equity in Vivi so that they could scale appropriately and have the funding to scale out to develop all the things that they need to do.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think basically I agree with what Danny and Rain said. I think it'll be pretty big when Disney do like the Disneyverse if that goes in the Viviverse, hopefully.
Oh, that'd be dope. I mean, makes sense. Much of their first appearance NFTs are on us. That'd be wild. When we have Reese, I was on that, Crypto Rain had interviewed last week with Dr. Stuff. He had mentioned that they want to double the size of their dev team. And you had the leader of Colex, which had done a lot of the dev work for Hero. He had gone over on Twitter and said a couple of times, mentioned that he had conversations with David, and a couple of times mentioning, oh, hey, search bars aren't all that simple. You have to do, X, Y, and Z, and you have to make sure all this is happening. Do you think that instead of acquiring another, like a major company or an IP brand, that they would have acquired the Colex team from Hero just to, I mean, it's on the same day that Reese said, yeah, we're doubling our dev team. Just seems to make sense to me.
I don't think they have hired them. I think that might have been at Colex auditioning to get the work, right? And saying that they're aware of what's going on. HRO's got some good tech development. I mean, they came out not too long ago and they've done some really cool things. So clearly the devs behind that are like have some talent. So I think they're in-housing and they're hiring people to work dedicated for them rather than outsourcing to a company like Colex. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it would be a good thing because they've already worked on IMX, right? So they already know and understand the platform a lot better. So I think if they are, that would be a good thing overall, as long as they don't try and take over. Danny?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Gavin Weeks tweeted that out, that he had been in, talks with David Yu. It's all speculation, right, as to, what those talks were about. I do think it would be bullish to partner with a company like that. And I do think it's bullish that they said that they're doubling their dev team, but that also depends on how big was their dev team, right? If they went from like 4 guys to 8 guys, right?
Yeah.
So it really depends, and there are a lot of factors at play. So
Did you guys watch the Hello K stream with I mean, it was with you, Danny, right? But did
yeah, I
Randy,
watched it.
Randy and Rain, did you guys see that? Because that was
No, I
I
heard
guess
it was very good though.
Yeah,
can
you
talk
should
to
check
Danny
that
about
out. Kay was spitting. I asked him a lot of questions about, the dev team, his thoughts on it, his thoughts on Gavin Weeks. And he was saying a lot of really intelligent things. You should check out that stream.
Yeah, it was a really good stream, and some of the
I
things
like Kay, and he's super knowledgeable about the dev side, right? Because he works in it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good to have that. So, a question about sports. NBA Top Shot was one of the first markets. It had gone to the moon, then they had cash out, and then everything crashed. And then you kind of expected it to recover, but it never really did. It's still around, but it's just nowhere near the hype that it was ever. And when you take a look at other sports like DraftKings and Autograph.io, that had that was Tom Brady's network that had Tony Hawk and Wayne Gretzky and all these amazing people, and they kind of failed. Do you think that sports is really going to be that big a catalyst for Vivi, or do you think that sports is kind of, the people just aren't into it?
anime.
Yeah, I think it depends on what they do with it. And it's a tough sell because I think that sports collectors they scale older, and there's a very traditional, the comics. A lot of hardcore comic collectors haven't gotten into BV, right? They're resistant. They're hesitant towards, right? And I think it's the same thing with sports. I think, there's this long and storied history with the card collecting industry. And it's hard to migrate people to a new technology and platform.
I think when money comes in once again, a bunch of people will migrate because it will just be the buzz. And so it just hasn't happened yet. I made a killing on NBA Top Shots, but didn't sell. Still, I'm way up. I'm like 38 or 30x over what I put in. Unfortunately for me, I was like 160x up. And so it's like it went crazy, but you still did really well if you bought season 1 on NBA Top Shots. So then they came out with NFL All Day and the MMA stuff. They really did a weird thing on their first season of the MMA thing, UFC Strike. Season 2 was actually some good people. Season 1, they did like 55,000 mints of all these no-namers. So nothing's happened with season 1. And since then, money hasn't come in. But these are actual video moments where you own them. And so that idea hasn't caught on, but it will when money starts coming in, just like we saw with NBA Top Shots the first time. And so then a whole bunch of people moved over to it, and it didn't sustain because the crypto run didn't sustain, right? And so I think with the next phase, you'll have some people come over from cards because the card collectors really, I guess some of the cards really shot up during COVID because a whole bunch of people had money and they were all sitting at home looking for how to spend it. And they could still go to Walmart or some other places and buy cards or ship them through Amazon. And so they underproduced cards for those years for what the demand was. And so like prices shot up, and now a bunch of those card collectors are buying a whole bunch, but then, the printing machine is just going crazy. So there's no scarcity on these, and they'll move over to something else, which I think is the video moments, right? It's just new to them. Most aren't exposed yet. They haven't made that transition, but like once they do, they'll not really go back. And so I think what's great about that is that I think NFL All Day and NBA Top Shots is undervalued compared to what it will be in the future. Am I buying more NBA Top Shots? No, because like I bought some season 1, it went way up and it's still up 30x, and I can't fathom buying it 30x the price of what I could have bought before. But NFL All Day hasn't had any pumps on it, right? And so like I've loaded up on NFL All Day.
Nice.
I've got to run, everyone.
Yeah, I know you got to bounce. But y'all have a good one. Thank you for stopping by, Rain. I will catch you later.
All right, we'll see you guys.
And then there were 3.
That's
So, so there's a. There you go. We're not so huge now. Our faces aren't so big.
I'm trying to squeeze myself into the frame.
So there's a potential way for us to get a lot more IP. Well, another business which has a lot of characters, and it's the fact that Vince McMahon's coming back to WWE, and the stock really like that. The stock went up a bunch, and he's looking to sell. What are the odds that you guys think that Disney buys him? Because, you know, obviously we have Bob Iger back. He loves buying IPs. Buying WWE shouldn't be too hard for them. And then we get him on Veve. Go.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that could happen. I don't know what the odds are, but I think WWE would be awesome because I love wrestling. I think the age of our audience in Vivi would very much appreciate wrestling characters, especially if they did some of the older ones.
Yeah.
What about you, Danny?
Yeah, I think that whoever buys WWE, it'll be someone with a streaming service, because they want the live sport. That's what they're paying for. They're all those streaming services are looking to win the space, and they do that through live events. I do think that Disney is a fit for them, or I think even like Amazon could be a fit for them for Prime.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but I think wherever they end up, it'll be someone with a streaming service. I think Disney. I've always heard about Disney possibly being a landing spot for WWE. I don't know what they do with all that Attitude Era stuff.
They have to
Right? Were they going to scrub it?
Well, you'd have to make that the Attitude Era like the adult MA version, because like Disney Plus has the kids version, the adult version. The adult version obviously having some of the Defenders, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, all that stuff from Netflix. Right. I don't think you would have. Yeah, I don't think you could have the Attitude Era on normal Disney Plus.
Yeah, man, it wouldn't fly over there.
Well, one of the comments is that they think Apple might buy Disney by the end of the year. Do you guys think that's possible?
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, Bob Iger. Well, so Bob Iger really thoroughly enjoys buying other people's IP. Like that's his thing. Star Wars, Marvel, like Century 21 Fox. And it would make sense that he missed that. That's why he decided to come back, and so he could keep doing it. So I would say maybe they could buy WWE, and then if he wants to stay on while Apple goes and purchases them, that would make sense too, because he would have been the last CEO of Veve. It's like Jack Sparrow being the last pirate on Earth. Such a nice ring to it.
That would be awesome.
But why would Apple want to buy Disney?
That's so much IP. Like Apple has like the Apple, people go crazy for Apple, but they don't really have a ton of IP. Like any games by Apple.
Interested in that game, you think?
In what game?
In collecting IP and just running like theme parks and all that stuff.
I mean, most of it can really just run by itself. They could keep everyone on and just be like, keep doing what you're normally doing, but it adds so much to their balance sheet. It adds so much to their net worth.
Does Apple have the money? Does Apple have the money to buy Disney? Is the next question. Or can they get the money?
Where can who get the money? Apple?
Can Apple afford Disney?
Yeah, Disney's only a couple $100 billion, and I know that's obviously huge.
Yeah, at the height it was like $400 billion.
Yeah, let's take a look over.
Is Apple still $1 trillion company? I haven't checked it.
Yeah.
They I think at the peak they were $3 trillion.
Oh wow! Are you sure that wasn't Amazon? I think that was Amazon, Danny. Maybe.
I think it was Apple, but maybe.
Yeah, Disney's at $196 billion, and I definitely think Apple could afford that, because Apple is still, if I look right now, that it's still $2.2 trillion. So,
2.2.
Yeah, they have less than 10, raise 10% of their market cap, and then they buy them cash. Although they'll probably overpay for Disney though. Instead of 196, they'll pay like 210 billion or 220, give or take. But I mean, they are working together with their new facial thing that's coming out.
Yeah.
Forget what that's called.
I think they said this year, right? We should be getting the mixed reality VR AR headset from Apple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What happened to the Apple car?
I think they scrapped that.
Same thing would happen to the Google Way. Like they recognize that full self-driving is insanely hard, and that I think Google's Waymo has maybe 10 or 20 million miles driven, on that, which is good. But when Tesla has billions of miles driven, they realize that they're going to put so much into that, and it's just not going to compete. It's not going to compare. They're better off sticking with what they know.
You guys know Sony also had a car. They had a concept car. I don't think they're making it either. The electric car was by Sony. It looked pretty cool.
It's very hard to make cars. Very hard to manufacture. Also, I wanted to say, someone said something about Nintendo or Pokemon. False. That is blatant lies. Pokemon is not for sale. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, I would like to see that. What are the big conglomerations snatching up other companies do you think could help Vivi? Obviously, Disney buying WWE could help Vivi because then we have access to all those characters. What other things?
Trying to think of what other universe, what other. I mean, obviously, the obvious one is anime.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else is there.
I think anime would be awesome. I think they're bringing it, right? We know.
Yeah, they'll bring anime.
Done a lot of work in Japan.
But anime is complicated, right? Because different companies own rights in different regions. Is that correct?
FTX.
Yeah. Well, anime is so strange because it's in order to get on a Tokyo Pop or shoujo manga, you have to be. If you could try to get one license, you have to try to get them all. You have to. It works in a very weird way over there.
There's already some anime Disney Plus, right? Disney Plus already has some anime. So
what ones does it have? I know Netflix does. I don't know.
I'm not really sure. I just know that I think there's an anime section.
I haven't taken a look.
Yeah, I looked it up, but
what about Netflix?
Yeah, Netflix has heaps of good animes.
Or even Stranger Things and all the the original programming on Netflix.
Yeah, that would be awesome to get that into Vivi.
I mean, Netflix has a really bad problem with debt, and their revenue is $157 billion market cap, but I think their debt is more than their market cap. They have, I think for some Stranger Things, which most of their marketing budget goes to most of their bigger shows like Squid Game, Stranger Things. Yeah. But Stranger Things is like tens of millions of dollars an episode, and it's just very expensive to make. And yeah, they might break even on or make money with things like Squid Game, maybe House of Cards back in the day, and then Stranger Things, but they have a bunch of other products that they make that there's just no advertising for, that nobody watches. So they have a very, very unstable, I think,
business.
If I could short something, it'd probably be Netflix.
So because they turned into a movie company, basically, effectively, in order to survive. And it's like an arms race for the streaming services, which is why they'll want, their WWE and live. That's why they're going after NFL and things like that. YouTube TV just paid a ton of money for the NFL.
Yeah, I was going to say is one of those other big streaming services needs to grab Netflix. Imagine Disney Plus merging with Netflix, which is basically what it used to be, right? Netflix used to have all the Disney licensed stuff, and that's when Netflix was doing extremely well at the start.
I'd love something like that. I showed them the other day, my subscribers, that on Disney Plus you have there's a bunch of shows. She-Hulk had it, Moon Knight had it, and Agatha Coven of Chaos will have it, which is they've had QR codes on their episodes, or you have to pause, you scan it, and then you could get free comics on Marvel Insider. I think eventually they're going to go and have, instead of it being Marvel Insider QR code, it'll be a Veve app code, and you can scan it and maybe get a free comic or whatever. And then Do you guys think that's possible, or am I being a little too moon boyish on this?
I mean, I think it's definitely possible, and it makes sense, right? And I think I'm a little surprised that there's not more of, publicity coming from Disney regarding Vivi and, the comics and things like that. So I think it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I agree. Just looking at all the crazy comments that are going on here.
Yeah. All right, so let's wind it back to anime a little bit. The 10, I don't even know what it's called, Tengoku Netsu, I think the beta is going to be released tomorrow over on Discord. So are you guys super into video games still? I know you guys have families and kids, you might not really have time for it.
I'll try it out. I love little side-scrolling games like that. I'll definitely try it out.
I'll try to try it out too.
It's on PC, right? It's on computer?
I'm not sure where it's going to be, but that should be. I hope I can do it on a tablet. I don't have a computer. I'll do it on a tablet.
It might be like web browser, so you might be able to run it even like a mobile.
Oh yeah, that's true.
They should have an app version. Like often now they try and do all the platforms, right? They try and do an app for tablets and phones, and they also try and get a desktop version as well.
Yeah, good point. Don't say McDonald's, but have I brought up the Wendyverse to you guys?
No,
I think so.
Oh, maybe Daniel wasn't here for it. So Wendy's has something called the Wendyverse, and it's like a cool metaverse, and you can go in and I won't put the sound on, but it's like a 30-second clip where they go on and you can play games. It's like an avatar. I don't know if you could buy land there because I don't think they would really allow that unless they really want to raise a bunch of capital. But it looks really cool. It looks really fun. I would totally play that. And I don't know. I know like CVS filed for theirs. What are other companies that you'd be excited to look at their metaverse?
Companies. So, and if you guys know, Alt Space VR actually looks just like what you showed me there. Very, very similar. And they've got little mini games and stuff you can hang out and play.
Yeah.
They're actually discontinuing it now. I think Microsoft owned it. They bought it out. So they're discontinuing it. So I think this is the last year of Alt Space VR, which is a bit sad. But there's other ones that are going to take over that. I'm sure a lot of other companies will be looking to buying something like that out, and they could add it to their metaverse. Yeah. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I would enjoy as a metaverse. I want the Viveverse. Bring it out. Bring out the Viveverse.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I don't really have time for games, and like I bought an Oculus for my birthday. I was off in the summer. I bought my Oculus. I used it for like 2 weeks, and now I never use it. So the Viveverse I'm looking forward to see what it's like. I'm not even sure how much time I'll spend in there with if I have to put on my Oculus. You know what I mean? I think it would have to be more easily accessible for me to get me in. Just being with my life and my time and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen Demolition Man.
Taco Bell's so good. I love that so much. I think the one thing that saves McDonald's for me is like their breakfast, because they have this thing called the family meal, and it's only for breakfast, and it's only on the app. They won't let you purchase it in the store. Like, well, we don't have it. It's like lies. But it comes with 4 hash browns, comes with hot cakes. It comes with 3 like little egg McMuffins, and it's like $14 for like all of it, and it's so good.
How many people can it feed?
A normal family, or it could feed like one normal family. It's like 2,300 calories.
So like 4 people?
I would say 3 to. I would say maybe 4 if they're not really hungry, because there's 3 egg McMuffins, and then there's hot cakes, and then there's 4 hash browns. So yeah, one could have one thing, and then
you eat the whole thing in one sitting.
No, I'd say like 2
on
sittings.
A cheat day, maybe.
If I'm really hungry, yeah, it supports one hungry Chavez. That'll be
either 1 meal per day for that. Like that's enough kilojoules today, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Calories, Americans.
Yeah, it's really good. But I am, like Van's saying, it's a bunch of the calories are from fat. There's not a lot of nutrition in it. So I'm going to I'm gonna bounce a few minutes. I do have a Twitter space that I have at 8. But anything you guys wanted to bring up before we bounce?
Yeah, I've got to go about 5 minutes as well. No, I think we've covered a lot of it. What do you guys think the OMI price is going to be in the next couple of months?
Sona Vivi says it's going to like double or triple. Have you guys seen his?
Yeah, I saw that. He's convinced that it's going to double in like the next couple of
Who
weeks.
is this? I missed it.
Sona.
Oh, okay. On Twitter.
Yeah. But and Sona's been usually very bearish, so this is uncharacteristically bullish for Sona Vivi. So I'm not.
I think
I'm not sure why.
he sees it trading in a tighter wedge. So he expects it to break out of the wedge.
Yeah, I've heard once it breaks 0.001, then it potentially will go straight up to 0.025 around that mark. So that would be about a double and a half to triple.
Do you guys think we get any surprises out of their next community update?
That's tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Or 2 days?
Oh, Wednesday. I hope it comes out in the afternoon because David's going to be on the Queen's Court on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they got to say something. It's got to be something coming soon, right? I feel like Master Collector's got to be next because they're not going to release it and then he's not going to go on Queen Vivi, especially with like all the negative sentiment that's been going on. I feel like something's got to be coming. And also when they tend to go silent for a period of time, I think that they have something cooking.
Yeah, I would say, well, Crypto to Gem seems like they would be back to beta testing. So I would hope that they say, hey, by the end of this quarter, definitely. I would say the end of this quarter, they have Crypto. If not this quarter, they'll definitely start rolling stuff out in Q2. Yeah, I would very much like that.
What do you think David's going to have behind him?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know, Jordan. What do you think he's going to have behind him? I'll think about it.
Some Fast and Furious cars.
Yeah.
Maybe Lambo. I know that's not really a tease anymore. They announced it, but that VV 500 should be in the next week or so. And I think that maybe they release Lambo or maybe they release some of the Fast and Furious cars because we have Fast and Furious, we have GM. I think Fast 10 is coming out this year.
Yeah, the movie hasn't come out yet.
Jordan's the only one who wants Fast and the Furious.
I think it was supposed to come out last year, right? So they were going to release the collectibles last year along with the movie, and the movie got delayed. So now the collectibles got delayed. So sometime.
Orange bag lady, you're just a woman after my own heart. Eat it all at once, my man.
Nice.
Yeah, who you guys rooting for in that VV 500?
I'm gonna go with Chucky and David or Dr.
I like Thor.
Yeah.
Good luck to all of them. I wish them luck.
I think Thor's gonna be a little heavy. I like Captain America is like part of the reason I joined the military, but I like She-Hulk because she could do like the thunderclap, and then Chucky's so light, like he weighs nothing. Everyone else weighs a couple hundred pounds.
He's gonna be
Thor weighs
slashing
600. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we shall see. I shouldn't jump the should. Anyone else got anything before we bounce?
No, I think that's probably it. Might wrap it up.
Oh, that'd be great if he has Mandalorian or Grogu.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get a Mandalorian. That's a good one. I think he's gonna have Grogu behind him.
That's true.
Because the show's coming out in March.
Yeah, that premieres March 1st.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna get this guy right here. It's a good one.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'll be right behind him, like here.
Imagine David saying, in 4 weeks from today, Mandalorian, baby Grogu. Oh, I would lose my mind.
I like that. To get the last comment, they should make a FUD NFT to troll. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Find the FUD.
I told them they should do characters. Like the characters they should do is like have a game where it's kind of like Cuphead, and you have the evil FUD attacking VV City, and then the VEVE characters come in and they're like, they just shoot them up.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I will let you guys. I'll let FMM know what spaces I'm going to if I can find the group chat. Maybe I can. Says I'm an idiot. It's gonna be on Sarah Seeley. Sarah Seeley. She's got a space coming out. So I'll go into that. I'm gonna eat some food. I just went grocery shopping. Thank you all for coming. Everyone, links down below. Okay, she'll tell me later. All right. I'll catch you all later. Goodbye, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And